Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're here, we're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can hear me clearly, please drop one in the live chat and then we can get today's stream started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come in, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. That's one of the most important things that you can do for this channel is hit the like button. What that does is that it assists in making sure that those that are subscribed to the channel will actually get their notification, and it also helps in assisting this video permeate throughout the YouTube algorithm. That way, this video will get out to those who are interested in this type of content. Also, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video, and share this video out on your social media platforms as well. Not only to let people know that I'm currently live, but it also has the same effect within the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, please make sure you follow me on Telegram. You will find the link to that pinned in the live chat above. It will be in the description box below and pinned in the comment section after this stream is over. There are 300 some odd people following me on Telegram right now. The goal is to get 1,000 people following me on Telegram by the year's end. So with that, I see the ones are starting to come in. So let's get today's stream started. And also, lastly, if you haven't, please, I have a poll that you should see in the live chat. Let me know if you're getting your text notifications. I had that poll up last stream. I didn't pay any attention to it, and I can't go back and relook at it. So if you're getting your text notifications, your text message notifications, please let me know. Put yes or no in the poll that's pinned in the live chat right now. So now that all the introductions and stuff like that is out the way, let's get today's stream started. So as you see, today's stream is titled Biden Suggests Adams Send Migrants from New York to New Jersey. So shout out to everybody that currently resides in New Jersey. You may be getting some new neighbors soon, depending on how things play out. Now we're going to get into two articles today, nothing too heavy, right? And the main article is also going to be, concerning the migrants that may or may not be coming to New Jersey from New York, right? But the first thing that I want to do is get into just a little bit of more so general news and information going on with the Biden crisis in New York concerning Eric Adams. And that will actually lead us into what's currently happening in New Jersey and whether or not Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul will be sending migrants to New Jersey from New York. And thank you very much, Reg Rock, for being the first person to contribute to today's stream. I deeply appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed when those of you contribute to the stream. Thank you very much for being the first person to contribute to today's show. Now, let's get into this first article here from Politico, right? So let me pull this up on your screen right now. And it should be in front of you. And that's the wrong article. We're jumping the gun because what I want to get into is this one here first from Politico, titled Adams, New York City policy to shelter the homeless shouldn't cover migrant influx. So it's becoming generally understood throughout the state of New York City that the migrant influx should not be covered by the right to shelter law. The right to shelter law in New York, the general understanding amongst all local politicians there is that the right to shelter law should just be for New York residents only, American citizens only, who are dealing with homelessness and need a place to stay. So that's the general consensus now. Everybody's on board with that, but things are getting a little tricky because in Staten Island, though the judge ruled in their favor that the right to shelter law does not apply to migrants, therefore Eric Adams cannot send migrants to Staten Island, he's actually attempting to appeal the decision from the judge so that he can send the migrants to Staten Island. So let's get into that right now before we jump into the main topic concerning migrants headed to New Jersey from New York. Mayor Eric Adams suggested Thursday he wants to exempt the influx of migrants from the city's decades-old right to shelter mandate as his administration tightens the length and on shelter stays and explicitly discourages new arrivals. I don't believe the right to shelter applies to a migrant crisis, Adams said during an appearance on WABC's Sid and Friends in the Morning. referring to a mandate dating back to 1981 that the city provides shelter beds to anyone in need. He was responding to a decision from a Staten Island judge earlier this last week that referred to the shelter guarantee as an what does that say? As a relic. I'm going to skip that word. It refers to the right to shelter guarantee as a relic from the past that was intended to address a problem as different from today's dilemma as night and day. The mayor appeared to agree with that sentiment, even as his administration plans to appeal the larger order from Judge Wayne Ozzie, which blocked a migrant shelter in Staten Island. Now, I want to get into that right now. Let me play a clip from that actual interview with Eric Adams on that radio show where he gives his explanation for why he's attempting to appeal the decision by the judge that blocked him from putting a migrant shelter in Staten Island. Right? I want to get into that video right now. So let me pull this up for you. And while I'm pulling that up, make sure you hit that like button.
Takis on earlier. You know who she is, of course. Congresswoman out of Staten Island and Brooklyn. And she asked me a really good question. And she wanted me to pose it to you. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to play the question because I think it's a question we've all asked, including me. And I look forward to hearing you answer it. You cool with that?
Yep.
All right, here's Nicole Maliotakis just this morning.
Since you have the mayor coming on, you should ask him to not appeal the decision. I'll explain why. On one hand, the mayor is saying he's going to court. He wants to roll back right to shelter. He says that, right? But on the other hand, here's a victory, a judge's decision that tells him straight out, right to shelter is meant for New Yorkers, not for the migrants. You have no responsibility to do this. This is his out, right? This is what he claims he was looking for, and yet he's going to appeal the decision. Why?
It's a good question, Mr. Mayor. Why would you appeal a decision that seemingly is going your way?
Well, first, the even larger question is, I know Nicole. Nicole knows me. She has my number. Instead of having to get on your station and ask that question, why not pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, Eric, what are you doing around this decision that the court made? Let's stop politically posturing when it comes down to saving our city. Nicole should be working with me to get Congress to get our resources that we need. And she should pick up the phone like you do and say, hey, Eric, what are your thoughts on this? How do we work together? So when she's talking about appealing the decision, I don't believe the right to shelter applies to a migrant crisis. Our team is looking at exactly what we're going to do with the ruling. Some of the stuff that the judge put in that ruling, like this is not an emergency. He stated that we created this emergency by allowing people to come in. Anyone knows that I cannot deny people from coming in. So we need to peel apart that entire ruling, the comments that he made, and make sure we don't allow them to stand. There are parts of the ruling we may agree with. We're going to examine that. That's what the corporate counsel job is to do. And so what I hope you do, Sid, and I'm going to do after I get off this call, I'm going to text Nicole, and I say in the future, Nicole, we served together in Albany. I've been on Staten Island more than probably any other man in history. You see me all the time. You don't have to use Sid as the ambassador. Speak to me directly.
Yeah, I believe I agree with you, Christopher Perkins. That was a bit of a deflection. He started out answering a question with a question, and essentially what he's saying is that, you know, in the ruling, the judge is, number one, blaming Eric Adams for the Biden crisis happening in New York City. So clearly, I'm assuming the judge is a Democrat because everybody in the Democratic Party is laying blame at the feet of Eric Adams for the Biden crisis happening in New York, as opposed to laying it on Joe Biden, right? And he's also stating, the judge is also saying that they're not in a state of emergency. I would assume on some levels that must affect some sort of means for him to get federal dollars. And just also, I guess, kind of as a point of principle for the judge to be saying that it's not that it is his fault, that this whole situation is his fault, I would assume that it kind of put Eric Adams in a bind to where once that ruling officially stands, right, granted that he appeals it and everything stays the way it is, then at that point, all his other lawsuits that he has filed against different counties throughout the state of New York, essentially none of those are going to go his way, right? Since this is not an emergency and it's a situation that you created according to the judge, you therefore do not have the right. I'm assuming this is what Eric Adams is afraid of. You therefore do not have the right, and by law, you cannot send these migrants to other countries and not other countries, other counties and other cities throughout New York State, right? Because all the counties within New York State will be able to refer back to that ruling. So I'm assuming that's what he's hinting at. But let's be real too. He wants to send those migrants to Staten Island, okay? He wants to send those migrants to Staten Island. He's trying to send those migrants, so-called migrants, that is. He's trying to send those so-called migrants anywhere he can right now, right? So that's what's going on with Eric Adams. Now, let's get back into the article. Thank you, DSB, for showing love, as always, being the second person to contribute to today's stream. Thank you very much, DSB. I appreciate you very, very much. Now, let's hop back into this article, because this article is actually going to lead us into the New Jersey story, right? So let's jump back into this. And as I'm pulling it up, there are 336 of you in the live stream right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Discouraging new arrivals has become an increasingly explicit goal of migrant policies enacted by the Adams administration. Officials released new flyers Wednesday that they plan to hand out at the border, which note that asylum seekers in New York City are now getting letters to move out of shelters, and warn newcomers that they will not be placed in a hotel. It also notes that the city cannot help you obtain a work permit, and that migrants will not be able to easily find work. So Eric Adams and his administration is doing everything to keep these so-called migrants out of New York. And I believe it continues to say on the flyer as well, and I found this kind of funny, actually. They put on this flyer, New York City is one of the most expensive cities in the world. You are better off going to a more affordable city, the flyer reads, like New Jersey. You're all better off just going to New Jersey. Now, that's not what the flyer actually reads. I added that New Jersey portion in there, but that's essentially what's happening right now. I'm going to read that again. It's a direct quote from the flyer. So when everybody comes crossing the south of the border, they're going to get that flyer, and the flyer is going to read, outside of a bunch of other things, New York City is one of the most expensive cities in the world. You are better off going to a more affordable city like New Jersey. That's what I chose to add on there, because that's where we're headed to next, right? We definitely do want to discourage people from coming here so that we can pretty much deal with the 113,000 people that are in our system right now. Deputy Mayor Ann Williams Isom said at a briefing on the issue Wednesday. We want to be responsible and tell people the truth about what they're walking into. So the Adams administration, as you just read, is very openly out there concerning doing everything they can to discourage people from coming to, I should say, so-called migrants from coming to New York City. But I don't believe that's going to work, right? I think they're going to continue to take the bulk of everybody coming in. And I saw a comment earlier that I wanted to respond to, but then again, not really, because it bleeds into another video that I have coming up soon. Let me see if I can find that comment very quickly, though. No, I don't see it. So let's move on, right? But a lot of people have been hinting at the fact and the idea, right, that Joe Biden is sending these people himself, not just simply like through proxy, right, by way of the open border policy that he has, but like actually directly he's bringing them into the city of New York and Chicago himself. And that is actually true. That's actually true. Biden is, his administration, not just by way of the open border policy, but by way of other programs that he's put in place. He is actually bringing so-called migrants to your city himself. But I'm going to get into that in a later stream. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can be caught up with all the stuff that's going on with the Biden crisis. Shout out to good brother Cutthroat Nash for always showing love. Cutthroat Nash said a few years ago, a NYC sent their homeless to upstate New York and New Jersey. New Jersey ended up suing New York City and winning. Okay, so that wouldn't be the first time that New York City sent their undesirables to New Jersey. This wouldn't be the first time. All right, that's interesting to know. I didn't know about that. I got to look into that a little bit more, but I didn't know that at one point they sent their homeless to New Jersey. New Jersey sued them and ended up winning. Well, a similar situation is kind of going on right now, right? Where Biden suggested to the Adams administration and the Hochul administration, Kathy Hochul being the governor of New York, right? There's a motorcycle going by. I'm sorry. He suggested to them that they start sending the so-called migrants to New Jersey. That's what he suggested to them. Now, he hasn't spoken with Eric Adams yet because they haven't spoken since, I think, like May of last year. But as far as administration communications are concerned, his administration communicated with them and the Hochul administration to send them over to New Jersey. But here is how the New Jersey Democrats responded to that. So let's get into that right now. There are 413 of you in the live chat. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And let's get into this right now concerning what's going on in New Jersey and how the New Jersey Democrats are handling this, right? Because currently, New Jersey isn't a sanctuary city, right? And they're supposed to be one because the Democrats over there, the politicians there, they made a pledge that they would make it a sanctuary city. Well, let's see how that's working out for them right now. Let's dive into that article very quickly. And this article, once again, comes from Politico and is titled, "No Sanctuary in New Jersey. Democrats About Face on Migrants as Election Looms." Let's get into this right now because this is very interesting. The Biden administration's decision to float Atlantic City International Airport as one of 11 potential sites to house migrants living in New York City put New Jersey Democrats in a tough spot. It was merely a suggestion, but with state lawmakers up for re-election in November, Governor Philip Murray and other state Democrats, many who'd previously pledged to make New Jersey a sanctuary state, immediately pushed back. That's really interesting that it wasn't last election. New Jersey Democrats, they pledged to make New Jersey a sanctuary state. But now after seeing everything that's going on in New York, oh, no. They don't want to be a sanctuary state anymore, right? They don't want to be a sanctuary state anymore. LOL, Democrats continue to prove that they are terrible. They're backtracking now. Because like I said, and like I just read, they pledged that they were going to do this. But now all of a sudden, they don't want to do it anymore. But the one thing that I see is happening in New Jersey and that we're going to see as I read through this article, that they're doing right as a point of strategy, right? So that they don't get Eric Adams, as I'm calling it. They don't want to get Eric Adams. Is that the Democrats over there in New Jersey have actually all stuck together. They're all moving in unison, right? To make sure that they renege on their pledge to make the state of New Jersey a sanctuary state, right? So let's get into that right now because they definitely didn't want to get Eric Adams, okay? So let's jump back into this article. There we go. So here we go. I don't see any scenario where we're going to be able to take in a program in Atlantic City or frankly elsewhere in the state, Murphy said in a TV interview. Murphy being the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. A disruptive incursion of this type would negatively impact our region and residents. Three insurgent Democrat candidates said in a statement. So you have the governor Phil Murphy, as well as three other Democrat candidates. They're all sticking together on this, right? Atlantic City has been uh, I can't read today, a dumping ground. Mayor Marty Small Sr. said at a press conference, calling it an example of so-called Greyhound therapy. The proposal from the Department of Homeland Security never appeared to be anything approaching a plan, as opponents were quick to characterize it. But it came at the unofficial start of a campaign season in which all 120 seats in the state legislature are on the ballot. As the motorcycles are killing me, I'm sorry. I'll start over again. But it came at the unofficial start of a campaign season in which all 120 seats in the state legislature are on the ballot. And as Democrats have already struggled to unify around a campaign message, as Republicans hit them on the culture war issue of T rights and harness the quickly decreasing popularity of Murphy's wind power plans, just the specter of housing numbers of migrants from New York City threatens to nationalize an election in a deep blue state where Biden's approval ratings is underwater. And its senior U.S. Senator, Democrat Bob Menendez, is under pressure to resign after federal authorities indicted him Friday on bribery charges. This issue of migrants and out of control border and the issue of migrants and out of control border and the problems that are now emanating from sanctuary city policies are now tied to Democrats, said Chris Russell, a Republican consultant in several South Jersey legislative races. Now, here's what's interesting, right? Because as we're seeing right now and the way things are unfolding, the reason that in New Jersey we're seeing all this pushback, as I just read, is because it's election season, right? It's election time. Everyone wants to get reelected. And with everybody wanting to get reelected and not wanting to move forward with making New Jersey a sanctuary state, this clearly goes to show that the general consensus in a democratic state like New Jersey is that they don't want their state to be a sanctuary state. I think there's also a general consensus, though not official, across all states at this point, whether we're talking about New York or the state of Illinois, particularly in Chicago, where we have the two aldermen who are fighting to get it on the ballot so that the people can decide whether or not the city will remain a sanctuary city, right? And the other Democrats within the local politics, greater local politics of Chicago, are actually fighting against that. They're fighting against it. So currently there are only two. But my point is that if you let the people decide, right? If you let the people decide, the people will decide no on a sanctuary state and no on a sanctuary city. So what does that mean? That means there's a general consensus throughout the country that we shouldn't have any sanctuary states. We shouldn't have any sanctuary cities. And if there's a general consensus of this throughout the country, then there shouldn't be an issue closing the border and having immigration reform, that everybody can agree upon. There shouldn't be an issue with this if everybody's already in agreement that there shouldn't be any sanctuary states and sanctuary cities as far as the people are concerned. The people are all on one accord. But what you're seeing is the Democrats refusing to concede to the people and to what the people want. They don't want to concede to the people. And I think that that's very important to point out. Now let's carry on with this article here, and we're almost getting ready to wrap this thing up, right? Democrat officials are hoping the party's full court press of opposition takes it off the table as a campaign issue in a long competitive area that has been trending Republican in recent years. In the last legislative election in 2021, Republicans gained 7 seats in the legislature, including 2 in Atlantic County's 2nd District. Murphy and party leaders have worried a lower turnout election like the one in November could favor the GOP. Now, I want to show you guys something real quick because New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, is actually on the verge of getting flipped. The state of New Jersey is on the verge of getting flipped from Democrat to Republican. And I'm going to pull that up for you right now, but give me just a moment while I take a sip of water. I apologize. Give me just a second. Okay, we're back. So let me pull some of this up for you very quickly. Okay, let me pull some of this information so we see what's actually happening in New Jersey. Because, like they said, in what happened in last November's election, right, is that people in New Jersey didn't show up. And because people in New Jersey didn't show up in the General Assembly, I believe they said the Republicans gained 7 seats. So let's go to the General Assembly, right? This is the current state of New Jersey's General Assembly. There are 80 seats in total. Currently, Democrats hold 46 to the Republicans 34. So they're up by 12, right? That's not much. Being up by 12 isn't much, especially compared to other Democrat-controlled states. So in the General Assembly, as you can see here, they're up by 12. And as it pertains to the New Jersey Senate, as you can see here, there are 40 seats, 25 are Democrat, 15 are Republican. They're only up by 10. That's all. So they're not up by a lot. They're up by a little. Now, what I want to do is show you a quick comparison to their other Democrat Party counterparts, we'll say, right? Because in a place like Massachusetts, and we've discussed all these General Assemblies before, in Massachusetts, they have a super majority, right? I don't even think you'd call this a super majority at this point. I mean, they're just completely, annihilating the Republican Party in Massachusetts. They're annihilating them, as you can see. 40 seats in the Senate, 36-3. 160 seats in their House of Representatives, 134-25. They're annihilating them in Boston, in Massachusetts. In Illinois, it's the same thing. In Illinois, you have 59 in total Senate seats. 40 of them belong to Democrats. 19 belong to Republicans. So they're up, 21 seats in Illinois. And in their House of Representatives, they're up about 39 seats, I believe that is, 78-39. So Democrats are up 39 seats. In Illinois, and especially in Massachusetts, those states aren't getting flipped anytime soon. The same thing goes for New York. In New York, their General Assembly, it's 102-48. And as far as their Senate seats are concerned, is 42-21. So what is that? They're up, 19, 21, 41. They're up 21 Democrats, right? They're up 21. They're not getting flipped anytime soon. New Jersey, on the other hand, this could get flipped in one election, right? Their General Assembly can get flipped in one election. New York State Senate can get flipped in one election. They're only down 12 in their General Assembly and only down 10, the Republicans, in the Senate. They can get flipped anytime. They can get flipped quickly, right? So this is what the Democrats are concerned with in New Jersey. There was a low turnout in last November's election that resulted in 7 seats in the legislature getting taken over by the Republicans. If they mess around and make New Jersey a sanctuary state now, it's over for New Jersey. New Jersey is officially going to become a red state, and that's what they're trying to avoid. But what I want you all to understand, too, as I continue to read this through, and we're almost coming towards the end, out of everything that I've read, remember, in the very beginning of this article, it was stated that the Democrats were the Democrats of New Jersey originally pledged. They originally pledged to make New Jersey a sanctuary state. And what I want you all to pay attention to is the fact that they never pledged not to make New Jersey a sanctuary state after the fact. They haven't done that. They haven't done that yet. They're only playing games with you all in New Jersey because it's an election season. But once you vote blue no matter who and get them all back in office again, don't be surprised if now all of a sudden they turn New Jersey into a sanctuary state. This is why you can't be fooled by this kind of stuff. Can't be fooled by, this vote blue no matter who nonsense in which they play games with you, where they just say, we're going to hold off on making New Jersey state a sanctuary state now. But once you get us back in, that's when we'll pull the rug from up underneath you and make New Jersey a sanctuary state. Now, there are 504 of you in the live stream right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. And let's get back into this article as we are rounding it out. Okay, so let me pull this back up right now. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Okay, where are we at? This is where things get a little bit even more interesting, right? Because what you're going to see here is the Atlantic County Democratic Chair, Michael Sullivan. He's going to start migrant-splaining. Yes, he is going to start migrant-splaining. And we're also going to see the mayor, I believe it was, he's going to start migrant-splaining in a minute too, because what you're going to see as we go through the rest of this article is that the Democrats are going to now be falling victim to their own xenophobic narratives, right? Because if you're opposed to sanctuary cities, oh, well, you must be anti-immigrant. You must be a xenophobe, right? Well, all these Democrats in New Jersey are anti-sanctuary state, anti-sanctuary city right now. So then I guess that would make them xenophobic. Gets interesting because they're falling victim now to their own narratives. So let's dive into this very quickly. And we're almost done. Atlantic Mayor Democratic Chair Michael Sullivan said he believes Democrats' quick response on the Biden administration immediately deflated the issue. Insulting, what is that? Insinuating, what? Insulting the party. Insulating. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with my reading today. I haven't fumbled like this in a while. Insulating the party from GOP attacks. So now here's what he had to say, right? This is what Sullivan had to say. My father was an immigrant, came here not speaking a word of English when he was in high school. Immigration is a very important issue to me. We don't want to embrace the rhetoric of the other side, he said. I think folks are maybe lumping us in with the xenophobic rhetoric, and we want to make it clear, as a statewide party, we have the same position. I just don't believe it's the same as the rhetoric. So as I'm reading this here, you're seeing they're falling victim to their own rhetoric. They're falling victim to their own false claims of xenophobia and being anti-immigrant because they don't want to be a sanctuary state. And now you see this Democrat Party member migrant-splaining. And now what you're going to see here is more of them becoming a victim of their own narratives, right? Because advocates for migrants aren't buying it. Sarah Cullinan, director of the immigrant advocacy group Make the Road Action New Jersey, said Democrats risk alienating their base with their knee-jerk reaction. This is a really disappointing move from Democrats who should know better, she said. Many New Jerseyans have an immigrant parent. We are a state of immigrants, and alienating those voters and coming out against refugees fleeing for their safety, these are people fleeing violence, unsafe conditions. We need to be a welcoming state. We need to uphold those values, right? Murphy, meanwhile, has pushed back against backlash to his comments against housing the migrants, noting New Jersey took, here goes some more migrant splaining, and this is from Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey. So all, excuse me, I just find it funny that now all of a sudden, mad Democrats in New Jersey are migrant splaining now. They're all migrant splaining. I just think that that's kind of hilarious to me, that they're all trying to justify their actions. You know, when you confront an anti-black racist and they try to hit you with the, oh, well, you know, my best friend is black. They're doing the same thing here. They're hitting you with the, oh, my dad was an immigrant. Oh, I love immigrants. You know, you're getting it twisted with Republican rhetoric. No. My great grandfather was an immigrant. He came here and didn't speak English. You know, a lot of migrant splaining going on with these Democrats in New Jersey. Let's get back into what the governor Phil Murphy had to say. Right. Let's see his migrant splaining and what he stated. Murphy, meanwhile, has pushed back against backlash to his comments against housing the migrants. Noting New Jersey took in many Afghan immigrants at a military base following the U.S.'s 2021 withdrawal from the country. The Afghan situation is a good example of this. Federal government was right there with resources as a partner. We knew it was within us that it was manageable. We do not see any of that right now, Murphy said at the September 6th press conference. So he's saying, hey, my best friend is black. He said, hey, we took in the Afghans, so there's no way we could be xenophobic, right? The problem is that there's no real plan with these so-called migrants. But you can't say that we're anti-immigrant because my best friend is black. I mean, we took in, the Afghans. We took in migrants over here, right? Migrant splaining at its finest. Now we're about to round this out right now. In the end, even the proposal's most outspoken opponents now say the idea, to the extent it was ever alive, is dead. Meaning the idea of making the state of New Jersey a sanctuary state is dead. I strongly disagree with that. Why do I strongly disagree with that? Because as I stated in the beginning of this article, the state Democrats, the local politicians in New Jersey, they pledged to make Jersey a sanctuary state. They never pledged not to do it. They have never stood on their square and said, we pledge to not make New Jersey a sanctuary state. That's not what they have said. That's not what's going on there. They're just temporarily holding off on it, waiting for you to vote blue no matter who, so that they can pull the old switcheroo on you, pull the rug from up underneath your feet, and then make the state a sanctuary state. They're just not doing it now because we're in an election season, right? That's the only reason they're not doing it now. Atlantic County Executive Dennis Levinson, a Republican, said he doesn't think it's going to happen because it was so preposterous from the get-go. But he still thinks Democrats should answer for it in the legislative elections. And I 100% agree with him. I think they should still have to answer to this in the election. I think they still should lose their seats in the election, especially for those of you who live there, because once again, they're not pledging to not do it. They're just not doing it now. Those smug, pompous individuals that wanted to show that they were so much better and so much more compassionate than Trump when they wanted to make their states a sanctuary state and their cities sanctuary cities, be careful what you wish for, Levinson said. And that is true. You got to be careful what you wish for, because there was a whole lot of chest pounding when Trump was in office, wasn't there? There was a whole lot of chest pounding from the Democratic side about how much more compassionate they were, how much more understanding they were than Trump and Republicans and conservatives on this issue. And now that the issue is falling on their doorsteps, they're sounding a lot like conservatives now. They're sounding a lot like Republicans now. They're sounding a lot like Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, as at the same time, they sit here and start migrant splaining to you about how their great grandfather was a migrant and how we took in Afghan migrants and other migrants from across the country, but we're just not going to take in this group from New York. You see that it was all a lie and it was all BS. And like I said, the most interesting thing about all of this, as I read through all this information and as I've been going through all these articles over the past year now concerning the Biden crisis, is that if you're able to read the room and just use basic common sense, the general consensus across this country, particularly in these major cities and states like New York and New York City and Chicago, right? They don't want their state and city being a sanctuary city anymore. If you actually let the people decide, they would get rid of these things. They would get rid of these sanctuary statuses. They'll remove them. If you let them vote on it, they'll get it out of here. Once again, what does that mean? That means there's a general consensus across the board throughout the country, regardless of party affiliation. So if that's the case, there shouldn't be any issue at all with Biden closing the border. It should be a non-issue because essentially that's what everybody wants. So despite the fact that, you know, whatever the Republicans, I believe they currently control the House, I believe, you know, they have a slight majority in the House, right? Despite all of this, regardless, on this issue, Biden could actually solve it right now if he wanted to. He's just choosing not to. Biden's choosing not to. And in our next stream, or a stream I'm going to be having later on this week, I'm going to be getting into how Biden is actually bringing in the migrants himself through other policies that many of you are not aware of. Outside of this official open border policy, he's actually bringing them in himself. But I'm going to get into that later. So that does it for today's stream. I want to thank you all for joining me today. There are 578 of you in here right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Smash the like button. And make sure you stick around to the very end because you will be redirected to my second channel, Just Talking with TD and Rob, where we will be going live there this Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on that channel, we have a lot of fun over there. There's a lot of joking around, a lot of nonsense, a lot of foolishness. And you get to see a little bit more of a funner side of me than you get to see over here. So stick around to the very end of this live stream and you will be redirected to Just Talking with TD and Rob. And as we head out of here, I want to make sure to shout out those who have contributed. I think I shouted Cutthroat Nash already, but he said a few years ago, Nahom, I read that already, Cutthroat Nash, get out of here, bro. But you came back with another super chat, so I'll read that one. I need sanctuary from asylum seekers. Shout out to Cutthroat Nash, man. Bounds Prosperity said, Governor of Chicago begging for help now. I saw that, and I definitely got to do a video on that one. I saw the headline where, you know, JB Pritzker, it looks like JB Pritzker's begging for help now. I don't know. JB Pritzker might be on his Eric Adams right now. We're going to have to see. I got to look into that some more. But Bounds Prosperity said, Governor of Chicago begging for help now. I'm telling all these Democrats the truth and opening eyes behind all this bus fly illegals. Another alderman. And thank you, DSB, for showing love. DSB always showing love to the channel, and he's a channel member as well with the super sticker. Thank you, DSB. And Bounds Prosperity again. Hang on, people. Help is coming. The devil is a lie. The devil is certainly 100% a lie. Help is not coming. Help is not coming anytime soon. And we've gotten into all the reasons for why help isn't actually coming, right? Help is not coming no time soon. And thank you, Jerry Elder, not Jerry Early. I mean, Jerry, I'm thinking about Larry Elder. Thank you, Jerry Early, for the last minute buzzer beater super chat. I appreciate you, brother, for coming through. He said, thank you, brother. No, thank you, Jerry. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you found today's live stream fruitful. And my apologies for, I was stumbling and fumbling with the reading today. I don't know what was going on today. I was struggling. I haven't struggled like that with my reading on a live stream in a while, you know? So hopefully next live stream, I'll get it together. So I'll catch you guys next stream. Have a great evening. And like I said, stick around to the very end so you'll be redirected to Just Talking with TD and Rob. Peace.